nachos. Order any combination platter and get free nachos. We freed our desserts. Order any combination platter and get a free dessert. You decide what's free. Kids' meals, nachos, or desserts. Taco John's. More than you imagine.
Folks, I've got amazing news about a new contest from the Stivers and the Golden Girls. It's called Go for the Gold, a chance for you folks to win this 92 Special Edition Topaz.
The car is not for sale.
That's right, Dorothy. We're giving it away. Each night on TV8 News at 6, I'll be asking a Golden Girls quiz question. Watch Golden Girls that night, then be the first caller with the correct answer for your chance at this beautiful Topaz.
Got it.
Now go for it. The Stivers Go for the Gold on TV8.
Making ends meet on TV8, Iowa's news leader.
Good morning, everybody. It's Friday, January 24th. I'm out of here today to France. On my way. I'm Paula Zahn.
And I'm Harry Smith. I'll be here for a while. Welcome to CBS This Morning.
Making headlines this morning, the Japanese make an offer for a piece of America, the Seattle Mariners baseball team.
Plus, we're going to talk to the man known as the suicide doctor, Dr. Jack Kevorkian, about his new call for a medical specialty to help people die.
And we'll be talking football and get you ready for Super Sunday.
There is so much Super Bowl stuff ahead this morning. Are you ready for NFL Today host Terry Bradshaw and Greg Gumbel to make their picks? Money editor John Stair totes up the cost of a trip to the big game.
Also coming up, the owner of the Buffalo Bills and his daughter, who scouts for the team. And Mark talks with halftime star Gloria Stefan. Right now, we're going to distract him a little with the weather.
There's a game this weekend?
Yeah.
What game?
What game? Good morning to both of you. Take a look at the map out there. May be tough getting out of Buffalo and Washington today. Buffalo's going to see some howling winds and blowing snow. And Washington, there you're going to see a lot of gusty winds. But hey, do you really want to fly to a place where it's currently 2 degrees? Maybe you do. We'll talk about all of that coming up.
All right, let's take a look at this morning's news now. The weather is believed responsible for the crash overnight of a bus carrying the Notre Dame women's swim team. 2 people were killed. It happened on a superhighway just about a mile from South Bend, Indiana. A state police officer says the bus ran into heavy snow and went out of control, rolling into the median area, landing on its roof. The bus was carrying 37 people. Of the survivors, all but 1 were injured. Democratic presidential candidate Bill Clinton is denouncing a story in a tabloid quoting a woman who says she had a 12-year affair with him. Clinton was campaigning in New Hampshire when he was bombarded with questions about the report in The Star. It quotes Jennifer Flowers, an Arkansas state employee, as saying in a paid interview that Clinton suggested she deny the affair. Clinton denied her claim.
The story, I read the story, it isn't true. She has obviously taken money to change her story.
Clinton's wife, Hillary, also denied the story, and she blasted the publication of uncorroborated allegations. Japanese officials today tried to tone down the escalating war of words between the U.S. and Japan. As Bill Whitaker reports from Tokyo, the shrill talk on both sides has hit a nerve.
The
cancellation of the $122 million Sumitomo contract by Los Angeles County was big news in Tokyo. Today, the Japanese government expressed alarm at the growing U.S. anger with Japan.
I think if this sort of thing is repeated, I think a business relationship, it would become very difficult to maintain good business relationship.
They're worried that the rhetoric and emotions are getting out of hand. Officials of Japan's Nintendo company were shocked by the uproar over their offer to purchase the financially strapped Seattle Mariners. They said they only wanted to help. In an address to the Diet, Japan's parliament, Prime Minister Miyazawa attempted to turn down the heat, praising the U.S. and pledging to import more foreign goods. GM officials here called the Diet's plan to buy 2 Buicks a small but positive step.
I have to go out and sell them one at a time, except I guess in this case, maybe we sold 2. That would leave me with about 762 Diet members left to go.
But Japanese consumers promised to be a harder sell.
The Japanese cars is a better quality than American cars.
Many here fear a brewing trade war.
It is indeed escalating. It is inevitable. We have started, and there is no power whatsoever for the time being to stop this new trend.
But Japan certainly is going to try. One official said today, insults and threats help nobody. Trade friction and protectionism hurt everybody. Bill Whitaker, CBS News, Tokyo.
Taking a look at the financial markets this morning, the dollar is showing some strength. The Tokyo stock market lost ground overnight. The Nikkei index tumbled 508 points. That's down more than 2%. And Wall Street opens with the Dow Industrial Average just below 32.27 after yesterday's 29-point drop. In the Twin Cities of Minnesota, there is no mistaking the fact that the Super Bowl is coming up. But as James Hattori reports, very little of the pregame hoopla has very much to do with football.
2 days before kickoff, the hip and the hype are gathering momentum for Super Bowl Sunday. Even MTV does the NFL.
Super Bowl's the biggest party of the year, really, and nobody knows how to party like MTV, so why not be here?
If inside the parties are hot, the weather has turned frigid or normal for the Twin Cities. Yesterday it was 20 below on the wind-blown cheeks index. Even colder for Super Bowl fans who spent some idle time speeding on snowmobiles or on less than Olympic luge-like ice slides. Noticeably absent from the hoopla are the Redskins and the Bills, who've been sequestered since Tuesday. That's when reporters spent a few hours scurrying from coach to player, seeking last-minute insight to pass on worldwide. One gridiron grudge match has already been settled.
The football is tails, that's heads. Here's the kickoff.
Touchdown.
The free-flying, fun-filled finger flick football championship, a schoolyard game elevated to adult revelry. A giant step up the participatory ladder is the NFL Experience, a traveling exhibit which debuted last night aimed at the Super Bowl wannabe. Here you can knock one through the uprights, suit up like a starter, measure up to William the Refrigerator Perry.
It's wrong!
There's an admission for this experience, but it's the only NFL ticket most fans will come near this Super Bowl weekend. James Hattori, CBS News, Minneapolis.
6.5 minutes after the hour, Mark McEwen is here with a look at the weather. I hope you noticed the form of the field goal kicker in that piece.
Do you think as a country we have too much free time on our hands? Do you just maybe
Some weekends.
Some weekends we do. Good morning, yes. I kicked a field goal with you down in the Superdome in Louisiana.
Many years ago.
Many years. Didn't kick one at the Silverdome. Good morning to you. We're going to start out with the West Coast today because not only will you see 79 in L.A., you're going to see some fog conditions, the Thule fog that they've been having out in California. This looks like my dorm room when I was in college. You'll see foggy conditions across the middle part, smoking cigars in the dorm room. Didn't you do that? Here, Harry's dying over there on the couch. 79 degrees in L.A., and that's a little fog activity for you. 55 up across Seattle. You're going to see more fog coming up in the Thule fog region of California. 74 degrees in Phoenix, Arizona. 44 degrees up in Billings, Montana. Little activity here. Up across Minnesota, you're going to see football players in gear. 14 will be the high today in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and that is going to be about as warm as you're going to see for the next couple of days. Watch for the snow coming through right around game time, but you're going to be indoors. You don't care. 16 in Chicago. Blizzard-like conditions are downwind from the Great Lakes, especially the eastern Great Lakes today. Places like Erie, Pennsylvania, Syracuse going to see lots of snow, and the temperatures you're going to see in the Northeast, the high that you're seeing pretty much today is going to be this morning is going to be the high that you're going to see throughout the rest of the day. That's a quick look at the national forecast. Let's take a look at your weather.
We'll see an increase in cloudiness across the state today, and by afternoon, some snow developing in the western counties, possibly pushing into central Iowa. Highs today, 20s across the north, mid-20s to around 30 degrees for the south. In the Des Moines area today, a high of 30 expected with a chance of snow by late today.
Thule fog. Embrace it. And next time around, we'll have the wake-up call. Paula?
Hey, Mark, I think that machine needs to be overhauled.
I think so, too.
Thanks. More now on the U.S., Japan, and the potential sale of the Seattle Mariners to a group led by executives of Nintendo. Republican Senator Slade Gorton of Washington State was one of the point men in bringing the investors group together. He joins us now from Washington, D.C. Good morning, Senator. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning.
This deal comes at a time of growing sensitivity over trade issues with Japan. Baseball Commissioner Fay Vincent saying that foreign investment is not the most desirable option, and the baseball owners will probably reject this offer. How do you justify it?
Very simply, this is the most local potential ownership for a Seattle baseball team in the history of baseball in Seattle. 40% of it is officers from the Boeing company, from Microsoft, from other companies like that. The other 60% is from the owner of Nintendo. But Nintendo of America's president, who has lived 15 years in Seattle, will irrevocably manage that entire investment.
But it is, in fact...
There are 1,500 Nintendo employees there. They are a local Seattle company.
But it is that 60% investment that a lot of people are having trouble getting beyond.
Well, we sought them out. You know, this isn't a Japanese raid into the United States by any stretch of the imagination. The present owner, who is not local, who is in Indianapolis and who's never lived in Seattle, has offered the team for sale for $100 million. The only person who has come up with a majority of that is someone who has made his fortune to a certain degree through Nintendo of America, which is a local company. So we are providing Major League Baseball with more local ownership for the Seattle franchise than it's ever had since 1969 in the Seattle Pilots.
Was there an attempt, though, to seek out an all-American investors group?
This very generous individual in Japan, when he responded to our offer, said he would take all or any portion, and that if anyone else came up in Seattle who wished to buy the whole thing, that was fine. He would step aside for them. This is the way we're preserving Major League Baseball for Seattle and for the people of the Pacific Northwest. It is the only offer Major League Baseball is going to get.
The decision, of course, rests in the baseball owners' hands, but this thing could end up in Congress, and I know that you now are lobbying your state's congressional delegation. How are you going to convey this to make sure it's not portrayed as another American business failing being rescued by the Japanese?
Well, I don't have a very difficult job of lobbying my state's congressional delegation. All of the members to whom I've spoken are tremendously enthusiastic about the idea. We have consistently had an underfunded team. It was only last season that it first got over a 500 percentage. Now we have a very well-funded team, and it can lead us into the World Series. The people of the Pacific Northwest are going to be very enthusiastic about this. They don't want to lose their team, and that's one of the alternatives. The other more likely alternative is that the present owner, who doesn't want to manage the team in Seattle anymore and who can't fund it properly, will be forced to do so under his present agreement for 3 or 4 more years. That would be a disaster.
Senator Gorton, we appreciate you joining us this morning. Thank you so much. We have more now on the story from Harry.
Thanks, Paula. We want to talk a little bit more about Japan bashing and what it means for Japanese Americans. Mas Fukai is an alternate member of the Los Angeles County Transportation Commission, the commission which canceled that multi-million-dollar contract with a Japanese company earlier this week, and he joins us from Los Angeles. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Do you see and hear and feel this whole new wave of Japan bashing, and what does it do to you as a Japanese American?
Well, it takes me back 50 years. It was 50 years ago to the day, just about, that my family, my mother and my father and myself were uprooted and taken away from California just because we were Japanese, even though we were citizens of the United States. And it brings back those memories, and I can see in the American mood and the American public making it more of an anti-Japanese and not recognizing that we are Americans of Japanese ancestry.
Do you also recognize, though, some of the inequities that seem to exist along trade lines and some of the complaints that Americans have against, say, for instance, Japanese trade practices?
By all means. I agree 100%. And this is where the issues are not being said. Rather, it is making it a Japan bashing, and they feel that I am more in favor of American jobs probably than anybody else in this county.
Yet at the same time, have you seen things that manifest themselves in actual racial bias against Japanese Americans?
There's no doubt. We have hate crimes going on right now. I believe the political rhetoric that we hear from some of the politicians here in Los Angeles is putting fuel into that fire, that we are having Asian women who are being mistakenly taken as Japanese being beaten up. We have Buddhist churches where they're being burnt. We have incidents weekly of this type. I get calls in my office, what is your name, sir? I said, I'm a deputy to Mr. Han, Supervisor Kenneth Han. Well, that's a Jap name, isn't it? Well, no wonder you're voting for Sumitomo for this contract.
Mas Fukai, we thank you so much for joining us this morning. Do appreciate it, sir.
Thank you.
Paula?
14 minutes after the hour right now. Coming up next, a Super Bowl preview from the NFL Today's Greg Gumbel and Terry Bradshaw. And stay with us in our next half hour when money editor John Stair tells you how much you saved by not going to the Super Bowl. Plus, Gene Siskel reviews 2 new movies that are worth searching for. And later, we'll get ready for the Winter Olympics with my co-host, Tim McCarver.
You could say a love of trucks runs in the family. I really enjoy my job as sales manager at Mid-States Ford. I'm proud to be a part of Mid-State's tradition of treating the customer right, plain and simple. In fact, when it comes to commitment to customer satisfaction, Mid-State sales staff has been recognized